This is Mohammed with the Mansour Real Estate Group, and this is your April Market Speed Report. The world today is more connected than ever, and the COVID-19 pandemic has brought unprecedented challenges met with equally unprecedented responses from governments around the world. In this month's report, I'll dive into the current real estate market in the Fraser Valley to try to sort out both the short-term and long-term impact that both the pandemic and the subsequent economical and physical actions taken to combat it are having on home prices. There's a lot of misinformation or misunderstanding of numbers out there right now, and I'm really hoping to clear some of that up with this month's video. Before I start, I will mention that looking at the real estate market in isolation, without taking into account the many factors that can affect it, such as GDP, oil prices, unemployment rates, and cost of capital, is foolish at best. But to explore each one of these and fully take into account its impact is beyond the scope of this video. For today, what I'm hoping to do is focus on the effects that all these factors have on supply and demand and the subsequent outcome of that in the real estate market. Let's start off with the most recent April stats, which show what should be an unsurprising marked reduction in both the number of new listings and the total number of sales in April, with sales dropping by more than 50% in some areas to numbers not seen since the 1980s. Now, this is not unsurprising because, among other things, like uncertainty of the future of the economy, the massive job losses that were experienced, the majority of BC residents were practicing social distancing, with those that could hold off on buying and selling doing just that. But although the listings and sales both dropped, they didn't drop at the same rate, with sales dropping more sharply than listings. Now, this resulted in the monthly supply of all housing types to increase across the Fraser Valley, with condominiums experiencing an almost doubling to 9 months of supply based on the current rate of demand. Add to all of this a marked increase in unemployment, looming potential of a recession, and increased lending criteria by the banks, and you would expect prices to have fallen sharply in April. So why is the media saying that prices have actually gone up? Is it fake news? There's a big difference between assessing price change relative to the same month the year before and a price change relative to the month immediately before it. So for example, you could say that condominiums went up 1.4% compared to April 2019 in the Fraser Valley, which is true, but they went down in price by 3.9% compared to March 2020. And most buyers and sellers and realtors care more about the prices relative to the months immediately before when making buy and sell decisions than they do about the price a year ago. So although the benchmark price of a single family house in, let's say, Greater Vancouver was up 2.6% relative to April 2019, it only moved about 0.6% since March, or $7,563 on 1.26 million, which is arguably like your sophisticated Starbucks iced 10-shot Venti with Brave 5-pump vanilla, 7-pump caramel, 4-pump Splenda poured, not shaken, going up about 7 cents. Remember that most news coverage either specifically isolates data to Vancouver or aggregates all of the Lower Mainland into one stat, which can significantly skew the relevance of these results. For example, the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board, which covers North Delta to Abbotsford and Mission, saw every housing type price go down compared to March prices, which is not what happened in Greater Vancouver or the Metro Vancouver area. So housing generally was slightly more expensive than it was in April 2019, but definitely the same or less expensive than it would have been if you bought in February or March, pre-COVID, which makes sense. So if that explains April, what does the future of the housing market look like moving forward in the Fraser Valley and Greater Vancouver area? This is the part that has a lot of very smart economists puzzled, and there seems to be two generally prevailing theories for what the rest of 2020 and what 2021 real estate market will look like. On the one side, some people are predicting a surge in activity when restrictions get eased as pent-up demand pushes buyers into the market, especially if this happens during the summer months, which is historically a very active time for real estate. This pent-up demand would push the number of sales up relative to the number of new listings and soften or stop the downward pressure on prices. On the other side are economists at places like Moody's Analytics, who published the Canadian Housing Outlook on April 30th, and they state that a continued high unemployment, a badly hit energy sector, and a crippled tourism, leisure, and hospitality sector will hit BC and Alberta really hard. This will result in buyers being more hesitant to buy and actually reduce the demand, which would result in higher inventory and up to a 10% price drop for most housing types. The Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, it's a federal agency, has taken it a step further, publishing that prices won't return to pre-recession levels until late 2022 at the earliest. So on the one hand, some believe that buyers will come back in force and keep prices stable, while other economists believe that buyers will hold off and the resulting higher inventory levels will result in significant downward pressure on prices. We at the Mansur Real Estate Group believe that it'll be the latter, and believe that after an initial surge of real estate activity shortly after restrictions are eased, inventory levels will rise faster than the demand can keep up, and that will result in softening of oil prices leading into 2021. For all the reasons we've stated before, namely high unemployment rates, tightening of lending rules, economic uncertainty, and the potential for a recession. However, there is no crystal ball here. And as I've mentioned before, these are unprecedented times with unprecedented government intervention. If programs such as 0% down or a further interest rate reduction are enacted, it would impact the market outlook. Now, to be clear here, we're not saying that any of these measures have been announced or even discussed, but it wouldn't surprise us. It's also important to note that price drops in the housing market don't affect all house types equally. Higher end homes will move very differently compared to entry-level condos, for example. And in the Fraser Valley, we expect that condos under $400,000, townhouses under $600,000, and houses under $1.1 million to experience a greater demand than the rest of the market. And this all brings us to what you should do if you've been thinking about potentially buying or selling real estate in the next few months. And the answer is, it depends. Your housing type, your location, whether it's an investment property or not, your equity, your holding costs, and a number of other things all play a factor in figuring out what the best course of action should be. This is why it's so important for you to reach out to a trusted and professional realtor who can help you navigate your options. Don't have one? We would be happy to be that realtor for you. If you want to chat about anything in this video or have any questions regarding the real estate market, feel free to comment below or reach out to us directly. To access any of the reports or graphs you've seen in this video, visit stats.mansurgroup.ca. I wanted to also take this opportunity to thank BC residents and Canadians across this amazing country, including but not limited to our first responders, our healthcare workers, grocery store clerks, and restaurant workers. Whatever the ultimate results show about this virus's deadliness, these men and women continue to put themselves in potential harm's way to ensure that we continue to access healthcare, food, security, and peace of mind. I'm so proud of what this country stands for and how it has come together during these trying times. Please keep in mind that there are a lot of people who are suffering right now, none more so than kids who rely on school breakfasts and lunches for their meals and who are struggling to get by right now. Please donate to your local food bank or seek out any charities who currently are trying to help these kids in your area. This is Mohammed with the Mansur Real Estate Group, wishing you and your loved ones health and safety during these interesting times.